Hello, welcome to my channel, Wing Spiritual Clarity. My name is Wendy Wing. I'm doing a psychic tarot reading for you, tuning into the day's energy, seeing what divine messages of guidance come through. This is a general reading. All signs are welcome. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Hope this reading finds you happy and healthy and enjoying your journey to becoming more and more yourself. So, all right, the overall energy of this reading is the Five of Cups in reverse. Feels like you have gone through something that created a lot of grief, a lot of sadness in your life, upset. I'm getting this message like this wasn't what was expected. I didn't expect this. It's a loss for sure. But with the Five of Cups in reverse, it looks like you are pulling your focus from the loss and focusing on what you still have. It looks like that's making a big difference. Feels like a lot of you are recognizing that after this loss that feels like a victory, feels like a glow up after a loss. Wow. Okay. Magician reverse, Three of Cups reverse, Seven of Swords reversed. I think this is talking about what caused the grief, the sadness, the loss. It looks like there's a group, maybe a family, friends. I'm not sure what this is yet. There's a group that's purposely trying to block you. Talking a lot of negative talk about you. If you didn't see this while this was happening, it feels like you see this now. Boy. There's a lot. There's a lot of information. A lot of grief and sadness. Feels like you're being removed from a group, and in a real cruel way. You're being removed from a group. You're being... It feels like it's so uncomfortable you have to leave. I get this feeling that while this group is discarding you, making life miserable for you, creating blocks for you, they're perceiving you as easily dupable. It feels like they feel very confident in taking advantage of you, and it almost... This group feels so toxic and confident about discarding you in a very painful way. And it's almost like they're trying to play in your face. They don't think you're smart. They don't think you're perceptive. It doesn't feel like anybody's talking to you about discarding you from a group. It feels like they're handling you. You're being handled. And it's causing so much grief and sadness. Now that makes sense. So it looks like the overall energy of this reading is talking about you getting past this discard. as painful as this is, it feels like you're now focusing on the 2 cups that you do have. It feels like you've put this behind you. Yeah. 5 of Pentacles. Yes. That leaving you out in the cold. Someone wanted you abandoned. This could even be related to a partner, a marriage. This could be, for some of you, there's so many different situations, but it feels like someone very close to you. What's also, what I'm picking up on is it feels like, I don't know how they're doing it, but it feels like they're making it sound like this is best for you, kind of thing. It doesn't feel like you're able to communicate with these people while this is happening because you're being handled. They're not talking to you and communicating with you. They're handling you. So it doesn't feel like they're engaging with you. It feels like you have to just keep your own counsel, love yourself through this, lead yourself through this. Feels like having to be head over heart, making really difficult decisions. But what I do love is that whatever happened here, it created a scenario where you started trusting yourself, making decisions head over heart, making decisions from a vantage point of loving yourself. Wow. All right. The hidden blessing is the devil. Interesting. All right, let's work that. The hidden blessing is devil energy, Capricorn energy, discipline. What's the hidden blessing here? I get the feeling the hidden blessing, for a lot of you, this was a marriage with the Hierophant coming out. The hidden blessing is seeing who was really around you, who this person, who these people really are. It feels like an end of a marriage, an end of an established way of being. Oh, interesting. Oh, there's a whole other message coming through. Okay, this does feel hidden. For some of you, I'm getting 2 different types of scenarios. An end of a contract, maybe an end of a marriage, and there's some type of financial payout. The other option that I'm reading into is it feels like there's some type of contract. Maybe someone passed away, a death in the family. I'm not announcing it if it's already happened. And there's some type of contract, like a will or something like that, and an inheritance here. There's something, it's a hidden blessing. Do you not know that it feels like there's grief and sorrow is coming out. There's some type of ending, grief and sorrow. A pleasant letter. What's the pleasant letter about? What do we need to know about this hidden blessing? What do we need to know about an inheritance? There we go. Short illness reversed. Wow. It feels like, whoa, okay. The court, the good lady, legal matters, a marriage reversed, a funeral. All right. It's in the hidden blessings. Feels like there's a shift in the energies. I'm seeing, why I'm laughing is I'm seeing an image of Mary Poppins when the winds change and bring Mary Poppins new tidings on the wind. Something is shifting from this devil energy. There's a shift from this like toxic, it feels like you're getting a payout. You might be getting an inheritance. It feels like inheritance, legacy, a lot of abundance coming your way. Hidden blessing. Wow. All right. Moving on to what you're leaving behind is the Three of Swords in reverse. It looks like you're leaving behind a lot of heartbreak. A lot of trying to convince people to care about you and for you. Feels like you're stopping trying to convince difficult people to care about you. And you're recognizing, oh, this behavior tells me that you don't care about me. And that's painful, but I'm going to make decisions based on that. Not trying to convince someone to care about you, to treat you kindly or fairly. Feels like you're leaving behind people who just don't care, can't care. This is an interesting message. It feels like I'm talking to somebody who almost doesn't expect anyone to put them on a pedestal, anyone to care about. Feels like you take third position in relationships. It feels like what that looks like is you having a best friend, but you are not your best friend's best friend. Your best friend has another friend that they consider their best friend. That you have your love, your beloved, whoever that it is that you love so much in a relationship, that you put them first, but they don't put you first. It's not reciprocated. It looks like you're leaving behind relationships where you put people first and they put you last. They don't care about you. Oh, this is more third-party type of talk. Lovers reversed, Queen of Wands reversed, Tower reversed in what's hidden or what you're leaving behind. Feels like you're leaving behind, trying to keep it together, try to keep this relationship, trying to keep relationships together that are meant to fall apart. Feels like I'm talking to somebody who used to make a lot of excuses for everybody's behavior, not requiring anything of people. And it feels like it's been a challenge for you to see your own worth, your own value, to stand up for yourself. Feels like you were raised in a very limited type of mindset of how you're allowed to show up. And it looks like you're leaving a lot of that programming, limiting programming behind you. Seeing things from a different vantage point. Feels like it's been easy for people to get in between you and whoever you care about. Feels like you're leaving that behind. And also that trying to keep relationships and situations together that are meant to fall apart. I get this like, but if I don't try and if I don't, then it'll all fall apart. Well, maybe that's what's meant to happen. If you're the only one putting in the effort and the work and the time, and maybe you're the only one that cares that it stays together. Maybe there's some uncomfortable truths, it looks like, that you're working through. Feels like you're willing to have those uncomfortable truths and understand these things instead of continuing to operate blindly. Feels like you're really stopping and taking a look at why things haven't worked. And it feels like at the root of it, part of this is putting people on a pedestal and they don't feel the same about you. So you have a very different relationship with people, but you don't require it in return, kind of thing. So interesting. All right, let's look at how to get the most of this energy. Two of Cups. This feels like meeting someone who's different than your usual type. Considering that the usual type is someone who doesn't treat you as nicely as you treat them, someone who isn't required by you in relationships to give back. So it looks like you're attracting someone who's not that usual type. This is someone different. This is someone who sees you as that equal. How you perceive them, they're meeting you, they're matching you. Wow, this is very different than your usual relationship. Because they really are caring about what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're showing up, how can they support you. Feels like very different. Like it might take a little bit to get used to having someone who cares about you because you've maybe been at it alone. I get the feeling that even inside relationships in the past you've felt alone. Because you are, if this is your reading, as I've been perceiving it, it looks like you were raised to put everyone first, to not care about yourself, to make decisions for other people, for the upliftment of other people, not yourself. And so it creates this dynamic where inside relationships, you're always feeling alone because you're supporting everyone else, but not getting that support back. It looks like you're ending that cycle. It's really hard for you to walk away from people and situations. It feels like you get very emotionally attached. And it feels like this person is not someone who's your usual attachment style. So I get the feeling that you might be more anxiously attached. Excuse me. It doesn't feel like this person's a chaser or this person's a runner. This person's staying. They're not trying to confuse you. They're not trying to manipulate you. They're not trying to get you to chase them. They want happiness. It feels like this is someone who chooses to be happy. And they want to be happy. Honestly, sincerely. Wow. Awakening. This is the Judgment card. Awakening. Wow. It feels like this is someone that you can grow with. I also get the feeling that people in past relationships, there was never a sincere desire to grow in the relationship. It feels like you had a function in the relationship to provide for them, to uplift them, to make them look good, to make them look acceptable too. It feels, this is like in past relationships, there's a service that you provided, and it's uplifting, doing a lot of emotional, mental, spiritual labor, maybe even physical labor, but not to have it returned. But this is different. Wow. Wow. It's hard to leave that energy. It feels so wonderful. I think if this resonates with you, marinating in that energy, feels like this person is either already shown up or they're going to. Beautiful. All right. What's supporting you is the Page of Swords. Reworking things. It's like you're seeing things from a different perspective. You're able to see the Fibonacci sequence, the divinity in everything that's happened. So you're not seeing things from a smaller vantage point. It feels like in the past you were traumatized. Unhealed trauma is what I'm perceiving. And the biggest indication of that unhealed trauma is tirelessly working to get difficult people, trying to get them to care about you, trying to get very difficult people to like you, to care about you. It feels like that's been an exhausting pattern that you've been in, trying to say things in a way, trying to convince people to care about you enough. And now it looks like you're reworking things. Feels like you're taking the energy out of that belief. Feels like you're caring more about how you perceive yourself than how others care about you or perceive you. Feels like that's very freeing. Feels like that's gives you the potential for amazing and rapid growth. Chariot. Moving, making moves. Some of you might be moving at this time. I love this image of the chariot. The power is coming out of her solar plexus chakra. Feels like you're making outward moves. Feels like you're showing people what you've learned by the moves that you're making in this current energy. There's something about the moves that you're making here that are really impressive. That's interesting. It looks like a card from another deck was stuck in here. 9 of Wands in reverse. You're letting your guard down. You're letting your guard down. It feels like whatever happened in the past, it feels like you're not even thinking about or focusing on what got you to where you are, which is you taking control of your life, you loving yourself, and you're making moves. It feels like you're moving very differently than you did in the past. It feels like you've just taken, it feels like you've healed a lot of trauma. It feels like you've removed people from your space, from your environment who don't care for you. Not trying to convince them, not trying to stay in that wounded cycle, but being like, okay, I got it. You can't care for me the way I want to be cared for, so I'm going to care for myself and see where that leads me. And it looks like it's leading you to really wonderful spaces and places, wonderful opportunities, new love. All right, what to be mindful of is the Seven of Swords. Lying, cheating, stealing. This feels like being tactical with your speech, with your communication. In the original Seven of Swords, there's an enemy encampment behind the person. And under the cover of darkness, this person is stealing 5 swords and only leaving 2. It feels like you're creating a different strategy, and that's working for you. It feels like you're saying less. It feels like less communication and more showing people what you're made of. Instead of trying to convince everyone how to see you, it feels like you're showing yourself by the moves that you make, and then as a side effect, people are seeing you make moves, moving on, reworking things. There's something here about share less, keeping your own counsel. You don't need people to know what you're doing. It feels like a lot of people in the old environment can't care anyway. They would find something wrong with anything that you did. So it feels like until you find your people, say less. Anything else about what to be mindful of? Okay, this feels like there are people in your environment that will take your taking care of yourself as abandonment. It feels like there are some of you that people have manipulated you through your guilt and shame. What I love here is it feels like instead of abandoning you, instead of making you feel left out in the cold, it feels like you're taking this as freedom. Instead of allowing these people to abandon you, it's almost like it's like you're making this abandonment, you being ousted from a group, and you're making it work for you. I don't think they expected this. I think they thought that you would give up whatever and come back. You would be humbled. You would there's something here about how this group abandons people, and feels like they thought that that would be the worst thing, that you would fold, that you would come crawling back and crying type of energy. But instead, what it looks like is 7 of Wands, that you're standing your ground and you're letting go of anybody in this energy who can't perceive you and care about you, who only has negative things to say about you and wants to control your life and how you behave, but they don't care and love you and pour into you, invest in you. It's interesting, as I'm looking at these energies, these people feel very surprised that you would leave this way of being where you are never cared for equally, but you are expected to uplift everybody in the environment. Like you're not, again, it feels like you put people up on a pedestal, put people first, and don't expect anything in return. And so they don't. And so they feel entitled to you constantly and forever in that unconscious agreement that you are going to support everyone around them, but not need anything back. And how dare you have your own needs and your own desires and your own soul that you want to follow and things that you want to do for yourself. Feels like instead of trying to convince people of your worth and value, just leaving those environments where they can't perceive you and stopping that trying to convince people to care for you. They've already won. If you have to convince them to see you, then they can't see you. They won't see you. They don't want that relationship. And so it's not that you don't have value and worth. It's not in this environment. And also maybe there's a need to to see your own value and your own worth. To love yourself out of environments like this. So I'm going to continue on with an extended reading on Patreon. If this has been resonating and you want to follow me over and keep going, I'm halfway through the reading. I'll be looking at health, relationships, creativity, new opportunities, and career and finance. So if you want to join me over on Patreon, there's a link in the description box below. It says extended reading here. You click on that link, it takes you right to part 2, and we just keep going. If not, if this is where I leave you, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.